Hey, what's up guys, Nate here. Today in this video, I want to talk about, based upon all of just the crazy stuff that has happened this year, what are my top 3 things that I think we can expect coming into 2021 in social marketing and just the online realm itself. I'm going to break down all of the things that I am seeing right now based upon what we've seen just in the last 6 months or so. But first, guys, I make a video every day on scaling online businesses, on e-commerce, on social media, and everything happening in the marketing world right now. So if you like those kinds of things, make sure you smash that subscribe button below. All right, let's go ahead and let's jump right in. So we've seen this year, given the pandemic and given just everyone being at home, retail taking kind of a nosedive for the most part, a huge primary focus on e-commerce for a lot of the current social media networks. And I think that is going to be a thing that continues into 2021. We've seen this early on with the TikTok partnership with Shopify in order for your really easy implementation of your shop or TikTok ads from the Shopify store itself. Facebook just buying a customer service company. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about just Snap opening their pages to public pages now to allow your business page to be public, to allow people to see the subscribers on the page itself. I don't think this is going to stop, and especially since we already know right now that Facebook and Instagram are now testing shops for Facebook and Instagram, where there's going to be a more implemented system into having your own shop on these platforms, your own online store. Now imagine the efficiency of what that could be. It could be a really good revenue stream for Facebook and Instagram, but at the same time, part of a metric that we as online business people look at is the amount of views that you have at your store, the amount of people that come to your store, and how that kind of impacts your entire store. Now, what would that mean if there was actually a more efficient shop inside of the social media platform itself? That could mean that we might not have to focus on that metric as much and be able to put more focus on our shop itself. Now, on the flip side of that, that means that instead of having your hosting site on a site that is based upon hosting your own site and you follow their terms of service and whatnot, now you're kind of mixing the worlds of not only are you marketing on that platform, but now your store is also contained on that platform. Now, I don't think anybody's going to get rid of their online stores, whether that be on Shopify or WordPress, but it is something to think about if you're putting a lot of your eggs in that basket of having your shops on Facebook and Instagram. Well, that's a dangerous path, and I've talked about that in a lot of videos before about doing all of your marketing on one single platform can be kind of a bad thing. But just as we're seeing right now, as more of these businesses are finding a proof of concept like what we saw with TikTok, and after they have enough people in their platform that they can start utilizing that algorithm, well, the only real way that an online company, a social media company, can make significant revenue is by advertising. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Pinterest, which Pinterest makes money in a few other ways as well because they don't focus a lot on advertising. But we've seen this with TikTok opening up their e-commerce platform and focusing so much on it. That's the best way that all of these companies are going to make money. It's going to be with advertising. And so I think knowing that going into the next year, since we're still going through the pandemic, people are still staying at home. We saw record Black Friday sales numbers and Cyber Monday sales numbers. I'm thinking that even right now would be a really good time to be in e-commerce for next year because there's probably going to be a lot of things that are catered to the e-commerce world next year, as it's kind of felt like for the past 2 years, e-commerce and online companies really haven't gotten a lot of primary focus. I think over the next year to 2 years, they are going to be given a ton of focus because that's where the majority of their revenue streams come from, and they're going to have to start winning those people back. As competition comes into the market, they're going to, different social media platforms are going to trying to come out with the newest and the best tool or, algorithm or just the way that you can reach people better. They're all going to be competing with each other on who can come out with something better. We saw this just with Snapchat, trying to get more people on their platform using their very TikTok-like feed on their own platform. And so I think we're going to see this a lot. Now, at the same time, you've had a lot of people moving into more of the online realm itself, but you also just have to think about it that this is a social media as well, right? There's a lot of social interaction on these platforms. The issue that comes along with that is the idea of, and we've seen Facebook and Twitter doing this a lot, the idea of content censorship. I think that is something that isn't really going away sometime soon. I mean, we've seen this in the past hearings with Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and Sundar Pichai. We've seen this with them where there's a lot just going on with Congress right now in the Senate of what is appropriate to actually censor on a post, who is censoring these posts, and how all does that work. I mean, a lot of it I feel like is done by bots, but at the same time, I'm wondering if we are going to see any changes to the terms of service, to the actual content that can be posted on the platform. If it's containing misinformation, is it hate speech, is it something that just they don't want on their platform. And now what that then comes down to is just the whole idea of Section 230 right now that's being debated in the Senate with all of the CEOs of big tech. And if you don't know what Section 230 is, it's basically just the law that kind of protects social media companies from liability of somebody posting something on their platform. But at the same time, it gives them the ability to decide what's on their own platform, whether it be constitutional or non-constitutional. They are allowed to decide what can and cannot be on their own platforms, removing, and it removes their risk of liability. Some people are for this, some people are against it. There's still the hearings going on, and this big CEOs meeting before the Senate, but no one knows where that's going to go. Either there might be an amendment tacked on to it to possibly change something, or some people are suggesting they get rid of it altogether. I don't know which route it's going to go, but I know that Facebook and Twitter and all of these tech platforms are probably going to be putting even more focus on the idea of misinformation. And I think we have learned a lot from this year about how much social media actually impacts things that happen in the world, like elections. And a big example of that, and I think we're going to see them crack down a lot, is on bots, where it's just incredibly easy to make bots on these platforms and have them doing basically anything you want. I know that Twitter has already said, and I believe Facebook has already said this as well, it's going to be a huge just bot crackdown on people creating these bots, just having them flood out into the social sphere, commenting on people's stuff. And I think that we're going to see a lot. And, we might see some things change in the terms of service. That's going to be unfortunate kind of for everybody, because typically when something changes in the terms of service or in the algorithm itself, it typically affects a lot of people. And so I don't know how it's going to turn out, but if it's anything that affects the algorithm, it's something that's probably going to hurt everybody in one shape or form or another. Now, what I also think that along with the e-commerce and with the possible changes in the terms of service, what I also think is going to start coming back around is just the whole idea of entertainment on the platforms. I think this is very obvious with Snapchat and their new implementation of their TikTok-like feature. I believe it's called Showroom. I can't remember the exact name. I just did a video on it, but I can't remember the name of it. But I believe it's called either Showcase or Showroom. Just that TikTok-like feed, really focusing on the idea of entertainment. We're seeing TikTok possibly hint at the idea that they might be lengthening their videos. That could possibly increase engagement on their platforms. And I think a lot of these platforms are looking for engagement. We're seeing Facebook right now also experimenting. We've seen them experimenting with stories and, just new sort of interactive things instead of people posting things in 3D images, and just the possible idea now of them putting a lot of focus into AR, or more likely, I don't know what you would call it, probably VR, virtual reality, because obviously Facebook owns Oculus, and they've been putting not a lot of pressure on people to buy it, but they just keep on gradually lowering the price. They keep on trying to get people to buy Oculus, and essentially the more people that buy it, they're going to put a lot more focus on it. Now, what this could do is this could open up an additional revenue stream for Facebook in one sense, but at the same time, it could open up a new way. But think about the idea, if you're trying to, advertise online, the whole idea of creating ads right now is to make that ad sort of interactive and emotional and encouraging them to click on that ad. But what if have you ever thought about advertising in terms of virtual reality? Like, what if you had a step-by-step ad in a way that, if they're in an Oculus or if they're in some sort of AR, VR glasses, that could take them down a path inside of an ad? I mean, it's crazy to think about that we're talking about this right now, but I feel like that's a huge possibility that could be a new kind of interesting stream. And I don't know what that would even look like, but to take people down some sort of advertising path to the product itself and encourage them to buy it, I don't know how that all would turn out, but at the same time, it could be something that turns out really cool. But I think from my perspective, those are going to be the three over. I mean, I'm sure there's other things that could happen throughout the year. But from my perspective and what I see in the social world and what I do on a day to day when I'm managing clients, these are the three biggest overarching things that I think are going to happen coming into 2021. And like I said, I think knowing this, it's a really, really good idea to think about e-commerce right now. If you're not in it yet, or if you're not in getting your business online, this is the time to get in. We saw, because every time that a platform caters to a certain, type of business, it's typically going to be pretty lucrative. We saw this about, you think about Facebook over since like 2008 or so, once everything started actually getting figured out, and then the big social media boom from 2010 to like 2016 and 17. It was insane. I mean, people were making so much money online. And at the same time, platforms were catering to e-commerce. They were catering to online businesses. And I think that's the way things are going to have to go if the pandemic continues to ensue, but at the same time, so these companies can keep on generating revenue. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, if you found value in it, make sure that you hit that like button down below. Comment down below on the top things that you think are going to change in online businesses and social media in 2021. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.